No. I mean, he would do it, but no. Yeah. Yeah, that's memories. No, sorry, that's a different person. I turn that back on. Can I close this? It's super wet.
Mutant, so we need to increase the main sound. The OBS seems okay. Is there a max volume? Go up even higher. Not that one. On the scroll bar to the right. Desktop audio. Nope. That one. Increase that one up. Out there. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Armor left.
But at the same
He's-
time, Dem Killer has lost a lot of his frontal armor too, so now it's down to the shielding.
I
And if
mean, lost entire sections of his shield generators, while Damn Killer still has all his shield generators intact.
at
And
the
this is
same
because
time,
of better statistics. He has storages right next to his shielding. It's not necessary for the generators close to the large reactor. I
And
think
there
that's a
it goes.
mistake. Yep, Dokis destroys Dokis. I'm pretty sure that Dokis' flax are not going to destroy Demkiller's ship.
And there goes the other half. Good game.
GG, guys.
Alright, so Damkiller advances up and will be fighting Nord. Next match, we have Salif and that name which neither of us are even going to attempt to pronounce.
Saris kicked the non-participants.
It's like Saris needs to actually ping the next bracket.
Okay. Uh, sure.
I would like to point out that there are like 20 people in the general voice chat. It's pretty amazing what the
I mean, we
following of these tournaments is, even if there aren't that many participants.
haven't had a tournament in a while, so it's attracting a lot of attention. I think it's good for the game that we have semi-regular tournaments.
Yeah, it not only helps with publicity, but again, the
Balance.
entire purpose of this tournament is to try to figure out balance. Though that might be kind of disrupted a little by the last minute update.
Yep.
Did the person whose name shall not be pronounced, did he check in?
Uh, let's see. Maybe ping him. So he's responding now. He's checked in, and he says he's wait, no, he's not King O King. He says he logged in as soon as he gets.
I think that King O King is not. Yeah,
And
not
paste his
supposed to
name.
be here.
Okay, so he left. Saris didn't have to kick.
Alright, so I don't really. Oh, some of the later brackets have been moved around a little. Looks like
Okay.
it's to help balance out players by skill, so like a lot of the newer players are paired up.
with less skilled players. So stylistically, what are your favorite weapon systems and playstyles and build designs?
Are you talking specifically tournament viable?
No, in what you like in general.
In general, I think the best kind of ship are ships designed aesthetically that are still definitely effective against. I mean, not like tournament level ships, but they're not bad.
Like top tier built-ins, right?
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Okay, which built-in is your favorite?
Well, considering that one of the built-ins is mine, I feel like I'm biased there, but otherwise, I don't
Okay.
know. Honestly, the Crescent Wrath I always liked that when I first joined the game.
It's cool looking, I'll say.
If only it were as effective as it used to be.
Set a password, right? Yeah.
It has been
Okay.
confirmed this is the correct player.
Okay.
And hey, we have something to name him now.
Yay. We'll call him Rock.
So it looks like Salif is going to be using his high agility traps.
Uh, I'm gonna be calling. I'm gonna be pinging that. I'm unable to ping him. He's not in our Cosmoteer Discord. Feel free to ban him, Saris, if you see him again.
Wonder how he got the password.
Built-in? That is a built-in. Phalanx. Yeah, that looks like a built-in.
It isn't quite a built-in, but it's a modified built-in.
Jesus.
Salif has switched to a missile barge.
This looks very similar to Nord's Bengal. Even the paint scheme on the front.
Rock had better hurry up and select something else before the timer starts.
Not sure it'll matter, but
And that is a very bright background.
so if you zoom over to Salif's build, you can see it's built using a modified version of One Eye's missile module.
Yeah,
It's
you're
a
right.
little bit packed, but it's slightly more crew efficient, I guess. It's of course preloaded with mines. Doesn't help as much as it used to against orbiters, but it doesn't cost you anything, so why not, right?
I'm a little concerned about the flak modules on the side.
Yeah,
I'm
his
not
cone of
sure
fire
they
isn't.
not sure they actually get power as fast as they need.
Well, a mine ammo effects use almost no power. You can power a small reactor, single small reactor, can sustainably power 15, 15 ammo effects. That's just how little power they need. With the storage, I think they're okay. My concern with the place that he put them is that that corridor is really easy to shoot. Is kind of easy to get destroyed, right? Connecting it, and more importantly, they don't. The flat cone is very poor. On missile barges, the wider your on linear missile barges of this type, the wider apart your flaks are, the better they cover the front of your ship. So his ship actually has a very large dead zone, dead spot that attacks can drill into, and the flax won't protect against in front of the ship. I don't think it will matter because he's facing built-ins, right, that are of hybrid design actually. Let me
Also,
just
that
take a look at them.
the power supply corridor is also exposed from the side.
Yeah.
No
Yep,
armor.
it's not protecting the side. I mentioned that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's all right.
it looks like Rock is in formation.
Yep. Um, no flag.
Also, very little point defense.
Yeah.
Though point defense is quite a bit stronger now than it used to be.
It might. Yeah. So let's just switch now. He's already almost in weapons range.
And he's almost done deploying the mines. Common tactic with missile barges like this is to deploy a whole lot of mines to the sides and then retreat through the corridor that you kind of
Created by.
form with the mines, which makes it very safe for you to be inside of, but very hard to approach for opponents.
One on one, a orbiter can just fly down a corridor if you don't turn a little bit and travel sideways. Uh, and Rock seems to be flowing through the minefield at full speed. He's already losing
There
his
goes
sky
one of the ships.
and his
Admittedly, it's
where he lost surface weapons on the left side. Missiles are pouring in on it. Oh no!
admittedly it's hard to pilot anything using formations, but
Unless you're OEM, yeah, it's
yeah.
basically the only highly skilled formation player I've seen is OEM.
So that second ship has lost most of its weaponry. It'll
Yes,
be
the
losing its reactor pretty soon here.
has lost the entire broadside, and the other broadside has lost some function as well. The phalanx has taken multiple hits to the large reactor. The point is they're going off, but they're about to drain. Oh,
And
yep,
there it
and
goes.
so this is a crushing victory for Salefs. I mean, he's not Nord, but putting him against a noob was kind of bullying Saris. He's not Nord, but he's pretty.
Right. Next bracket is Rick Ha versus Rayo King, if I'm pronouncing that right.
All right, Saris. I accidentally closed the link to the bracket. Someone's got the link to the bracket.
I will link you the bracket.
Yay. Ah, here we are again.
All right.
So next, I believe we have Chicken Nugget. Oh no,
Rick. We have to call him Rick.
Rick against Rayo King.
There we are.
So, given that Chicken Nugget been playing for a long time, we can call him a veteran. And I've never seen Rayo King. I'm gonna be betting on Chicken Nugget.
I would tend to agree, but just based off of the fact that Rayo King's ship is actually exactly 1.5 million, I'd say he's more experienced than most other people that haven't been in a tournament before.
I mean, yeah, he's probably he's better. He's probably not as he probably won't be as poorly underarmed as Rock, which as we could call him. So looking at his build, I see only 2 engine blocks and no crew assignment. And his flak and his ammo facts are awfully far from his flax.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's gonna have a hard time keeping up with Rick.
Rick
Though
is
at the
running.
same time, he does have a lot of armor both on the sides and back, so it won't be an instant kill. Meanwhile, Rick's ship has a
It's very slow for an orbital rammer because he went with an all standard layout, only 14 engine blocks and a mountain of armor. In fact, it's slower than it's possibly one of the slowest orbiters I've seen in a. On the other hand, having a mountain of armor, man, look at those ramming spikes. Look at the detail on those. Like, say what you want, but this kid's got style.
Also, there's something just terrifying about that ion core, even if it's about the same amount as most other orbital rammers.
The cloud configuration, 28 into 7.
Yeah. I think the number of output beams and the spread is going to make it really effective if it can actually ram.
So it's pretty. He's overdrawn his front reactors. You see the frontal large reactors are draining, and there's no damage to shields either, even without any damage to shields. And he also has no storages, which is a bit of an issue.
Alright, so Rio King has fired his first shots,
So
but have done very little.
But the frontal armor is thick enough that he's only lost 2 shields. And the beams are beginning to disintegrate the opponent.
Railguns are going to be down in a second here.
Shields almost fully drained.
And there goes the reactor.
Boom. The nukes didn't even fire. I'm wondering what's happening. And now they fire.
Did fire? They fired at the very beginning, I think. But they didn't do much to the amount of armor that Rick had.
You see. Rick is being sarcastic here. Saying GG plus. Come on, Ricky. Come on, I get you.
Hey, to defend him, in my experience, he always says GG close regardless of what actually just happened. So, he's trying to be kind. Alright, so Rick wins and will be facing Luke next round. This upcoming round, we have the Healing Doctor and Danwood.
What's your bets?
Probably the Healing Doctor. I don't know much about Danwood. I don't think I've played with him before.
So Danwood is the first player that defeated me in a big cube duel. Not a lot of people playing big cubes. Equalizer built a few builds for it. When I built a few builds for the big cube duels, but yeah, he's not bad. You know, he understands. I think he understands the importance of speed. Although I tried to convert him to the cult of the railgun, so I don't know if he's still on the speed train.
If he does have a pretty fast ship, then he'll stand a pretty good chance, because the Healing Doctor tends to use rather slow ships, things like slower missile barges, think he made an ion barge at some point.
Why do we allow illegal ships, by the way?
That is a very good question. Might be just for to allow larger ships than 102 by 102. But at the same time, illegal ships are really easy to exploit.
Yep. You can like bury your shield under more armor. You plant your thruster blocks right next to each other. Ignore the exclusion zones. Yeah, there are things that
Though admittedly, speed is the big, strong thing to worry about in this game right now. Has been for a while. And part of the advantage of ignoring exclusion zones is you can armor almost anything, but that'll make you heavier.
and you can squeeze a lot of thrust into a small area if you can ignore exclusion zones. So speed is very strong, but to fully exploit it, you need to have skill. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's certainly true, but what prevents a lot of the
Just being
top-level
loaded
players from...
by a healing doctor. Danwood is loading. I don't even recognize that ship. If it's a missile barge, well, let's see what happens.
Looks like a high-thrust railgun.
Kite?
Yeah.
I don't think you'll get through that level of armor. Yep, it's a twin wheel kite. Let me zoom in on it. Super explosive. More retro thrust than forward thrust.
Also has a lot of strafe, which normally you don't need or even want for a kiter.
Well, with enough strafe, you can circle strafe, which buys you time to not get pushed out of rod. So the biggest weakness of kiters, especially rail kiters, which have very low damage output for their investment into railguns, is that a very well armored ship can just keep advancing at you and force you to go into the rod, and if they just wait and face tank all your shots for long enough, then you die because you got melted by the rod.
At the same time, if you put that much cost into strafe like this design does, you start missing out on actual retro thrust. I feel like...
I mean, it's 12 engine blocks, three large thrusters, retro thrust on every engine block except the frontal two, and it's 2,600 tons, 12 engine blocks against a let me just check, 3,000 ton, almost 3,000 ton, all Ford 10 engine block build. Well, no, all Ford 8 engine blocks, and then 2 pure turning engine block to build. So Healing Doctor is not going to be able to catch Danwood unless Danwood screws up. It just won't happen. Well, if enough armor mass gets shaved off, yes, then Healing Doctor will be able to catch up.
That's another thing, is the amount of armor on the front of the Healing Doctor's ship makes it pretty hard for Denwood to actually get anywhere.
Yep. He's not fully interlaced, but he's partially interlaced. So Healing Doctor needs to start rotating to present different fresh armor. Well, he won't be able to chase as efficiently if he rotates. He won't be able to chase as efficiently.
Oh, it looks like the Healing Doctor's ship has some issues with thrust.
Yep.
His
So
reactor
his
is too far forward.
large reactor is very far away from his engine blocks. So as you see, he's distributing the hits over the nose. The problem with Healing Doctor's build is that it's very long, so he wasn't able to build a lot of spaced armor into it. Spaced armor is tremendously more efficient than solid armor against railguns because they're penetration limited. It doesn't matter if the railgun still has lots of damage in the pool if it runs out of penetration.
And that railgun shot started to go through the armor.
Yep, damage is being leaked through. Dan would overturned, and then he wasn't able to get the shot into the right spot. He's already being pushed to the edge of the rod, and that shot is gonna just miss completely.
Ooh, looks like he's trying to flee past the healing doctor. Might not be a good idea.
I don't think he has enough thrust for that. He needed to start circle strafing a lot earlier than this, in my opinion.
Yeah. So a lot of missiles have been fired, but looks like they can't quite keep up.
No, his ship, Damwood's ship is incredibly fast.
Hey, so you were right. Not only does he like speed, but he's also part of the rail cult now.
I tried to convert him to the rail cult, and it worked.
So you accidentally predicted his ship. Good job.
I mean, I refuse to accept a student who uses small reactors. But other than that, good job. Yeah.
Some of those missiles snuck away to the back of the kiter and hit the armor close to the control room.
Two strafe thrusters. And yes, the armor surrounding the highly explosive ammo factory and control room cluster has been damaged. I'm not sure Healing Doctor is going to live long enough to push him out of the rod again, or will get close to pushing him out of the rod and forcing missiles to connect.
One tactic he has the option of, though it might not be effective in this case, is he could just go to the very center of the map and face Danwood, as long as
No,
he has enough
armor won't
armor.
last for that. I mean, that's viable. In some cases, it's viable, but in this case, his armor is just eroding too quickly.
This is true. If he had, if the healing doctor had more retro thrust, he could try retreating and then quickly
Advancing.
advancing. Yeah, it's usually a good tactic against rail kiters, but if Danwood knows how to counter that with piloting, then it won't be effective.
So the thruster response time could be used, but unfortunately, he doesn't have that option because of his complete lack of retro thrust. Those missiles are almost gonna hit. So remember, Danwood needs the strafe thrust to keep
Oh,
strafing.
and
Oh
there
no!
goes the railguns. Stray missile
Oh
got him.
no!
And that's the problem with devoting all of your cost to 2 weapons, is if those weapons blow up, you're dead.
Yep.
Oh, and the control room explodes too. That's cool.
Because well, I mean, it's a good place for the control room. If you lost both your rails, there's no there's nothing else your ship does.
Admittedly, though, if he only lost one of his railguns, it would still explode.
He had fire extinguishers. He might have survived if the second railgun didn't blow up.
I'm not so sure, but at this point, we're just arguing semantics. All right, so
Link Doctor, good game.
good game. Next, we have Exicade versus I'm not awake and I can't pronounce that.
Shinigami.
Yeah.
Your weeb level is insufficient.
I'm proud of that. All right. Exicade is online. Shinigami is not, unless they have it set so they're not visible. They are present.
Typing. Did you ban him, Saris?
Looks like he's restarting. Hopefully he's not on a past version. There he is.
All right, he's in.
Looks like he was having trouble with the password.
It looks like Shinigami has went with a short rail fan.
With not a lot of strafe.
And Exicade has went with a orbiter, heavy orbiter.
Shinigami is changing.
Rail mine kite. Yeah, we were talking about this in ships before. The design doesn't look very complete.
Yeah, it looks like it is. It doesn't have a lot of thrust, even for a normal ship, let alone a kite.
Not enough retro thrust. But who knows? He might be the next OEM with some weird ship that blows you up from halfway across the map in one shot.
That's happened before. You never know.
We can't be too judgmental. Pathetic. Oh my god, Exicade. Wow. So I don't like this layout. The entire point of putting armor between your railguns is so that if one blows up, they don't trigger the next to blow up. But if your ammo effects are clumped like this, right? It's not like railguns use that much ammo either. They use 1.5 ammo a second, while Ammo Factory drains produces 2 a second. You don't need to link up your ammo effects. There's no benefit for this.
Also, the way he has everything chained together, just hitting one of the railguns will completely destroy one side of the ship and cripple the other one.
Yep, might just blow up the entire ship. His
Maybe.
armor was also strapped on. If you see the middle, is strapped on with 2 pieces of the structure that are outside of the shield bubble, not even inside the shield bubble. I mean, it's aesthetic, but there's a limit where aestheticness shouldn't compromise design. And in this case, I think aestheticness has compromised the design.
Well, it does make his front pretty smooth and hard to latch onto.
You can
But
put
other
more
than that,
armor,
yeah.
you can put more structure behind it, all the way to the limit where the exclusion zone of the rails are, and it will
Again, it
still
looks
have
like
a
it's
smooth front.
not quite finished.
Yeah. So Exicade got a PD swarmer stuck in his armor corners. I remember
One defense
when
isn't gonna do much.
One Eye and us were warning him that a smooth front is sometimes preferable to a ramming hook. Well, it wouldn't matter in this case.
Exicade getting around to the side.
So he ate a full mine wave to the front, but now he's able to close in. And one of the problems with mines as a weapon is that they have an arming distance. If the mines are moving too fast, they can't arm. They only arm after a certain distance.
It's not distance, it's speed. They have to be moving slowly or completely stopped in order to arm.
Yeah, almost completely stopped. And therefore, Escade was able to overcome his opponent.
Unfortunately, they'll be going against OM next.
I mean, OM has lost tournaments before from making a new build, right? Completely untested build, and then get blown up in the next tournament because he didn't overcome. He didn't fix a flaw, even though the ship type was great, right? Sometimes he's lost tournaments. It's not guaranteed he's gonna win. I mean, he's favored, definitely favored, but
Oh, I'm next. Cool.
all right, Redstone, good luck.
All right, I'm gonna mute. Good luck commentating on your own.
So we have Redstone, and we're now waiting for Slow King. Saris, I'm the only commentator. Yes. No, I said I'll do it. So it looks like Slow King has brought some form of missile barge. And that looks like some kind of beam core ship that Redstone has. Both players are ready, and we're going in. So most modern iron cores have multiple output beams to decrease the ion inefficiency. Redstone's rammer is pretty heavily armored, I'll say. Although if you're using angled beams like that, you don't need that many shields in a tunnel. And Slow King's Ono, conventional TB missile barge. Interesting. So I haven't seen TB missile barges in a while because the tractor beam has a shorter range than your missiles. In some situations, the tractor beams are just dead mass, or well, dead expense actually, dead money. I do like his engine layout. It is pretty efficient. He's only got 2 TP, so I'm not 100% sure he can shake off Redstone. Let's see what happens. Unfortunately, Slowking has not pre-laid mines yet, and contact is about to be made. Yep, 2 tractor beams does not seem to be enough. Armor is being TP eroded from Slowking. Tractor beams run out of power too. So now we begin the next stage of the fight. Will the missiles drill through the sides before he loses his armored nose? I'm not sure why he's turning, but that's helping. That's helping Slowking. He suffered an armor breach. Redstone has successfully pushed Slowking into the rod. Will he continue to chase? So if you've got the side of your opponent, you don't want to be trying to be drilling through that armor nose. It's usually considered pretty skillful if you can get on the side of a barge, but you want to be shooting into the squishy bits. Yes. Like that, yes. No, a little bit further down than that. Oh, and he's lost a beam. Ouch. Yes. That is normally what happens in an orbiter duel. The orbiter gets on the side, drills through the side armor at thin side armor because you have to have missile ports, and then gets into the guts and blows up your larger. That was actually a close. Yes, very close.
All right, I'm back.
You almost had him, man. When you got his side, I thought he was dead.
Yeah, I thought he
Unfortunately,
was too.
you got stuck on his huge nose, and your beams are drilling through solid armor instead of his squishy bits. His squishy bits for a long time. By the time you got through his missile, started getting through his missile cells, you already lost a beam core.
Yeah, if once I started blowing up the missiles, if I had aimed a little more inwards rather than trying to go straight for the reactor, I probably could have blown up a lot of his armor just from the chain reaction.
Yeah,
That could have turned the tide.
you're full gassed. I think some of the problem was your ramming hook shape. When you got caught in his nose, it was very difficult to turn in the direction you wanted.
Yeah. The ramming hook is more designed to go against other orbiters. It's a very heavy design with a lot of forward thrust, so
If you had more thrust, it might be pretty strong against OEM because you have multiple beams, so you can spray down multiple targets at the same time. And also, it would be really easy to catch swarmers with that kind of shape. One problem is I saw with One Eye facing OEM was that his shape is designed to slide, so he can't. He's harder to get caught by other orbiters, but that caused a lot of the rammed OEM swarmers to slide off. And this is why I don't use ramming hooks. Wow. Okay.
hey, those very same ramming hooks are what kept me on for so long.
True. I mean, you can just use more thrust. You know what I mean? Like more thrust, same purpose, especially versus a single target ship. All right. So while we wait for Knight of Knee, I'm gonna get some water.
Stay hydrated, everyone. I am this voice. Let me check if he's online. He does not appear to be online, so we might just have a timeout win.
So KWH picked the missile barge. No, he switched to. It's very thinly armored railfan.
Welcome back, by the way.
Hello.
And there we go. Automatic win.
Aw. Oh well.
All right,
All
so
right. Next, we're gonna have Kiefer versus Enoshade.
that's a good point. It might be KWH versus One Eye.
One eye next.
Oh, no, it's Kiefer versus Enoshade.
Okay. We're gonna follow the Saris chart.
Enoshade is still building his ship.
Wow.
Hopefully that's just touch up, because he has about 5 minutes. Three minutes.
Saris says 20 people. Oh, 20 people brackets are better. You mentioned something about reserving a 20th slot.
Saris, how much time do we have?
So Kiefer took 20th slot. Excellent.
Rick, you missed. Unfortunately, he doesn't have that much time. Don't rush it, but don't rush quickly. Looks like he's ready. There he is.
So Kiefer's got a very conventional railfan. And
looks like 4 tractor beams.
Shade has some kind of diagonal strafe build. Let's see what it is when we load it.
It's probably a diagonal missile, one-sided missile barge.
They've fallen out of favor because of the proliferation of flak missile barges, which kind of hard countered them.
Oh, looks like he forgot to set his
Flight direction. This is Matidus. Okay, Kiefer's mouse is suffering some technical problems. So, looking at these ships, who are you going to bet on?
Kiefer. Shade, it's quite obvious that it's not finished. I'd like to point out that he has one control room and it's got a straight shot for a railgun.
I would also like to point he has like 3 armor thickness at his strongest point, which is not remotely enough against a 6 rail.
Well, judging by the complete lack of thrust on Kiefer's ship, it might be a bit before they even get in range of each other.
True. He does have boosters, but I'm guessing he's waiting for his storages to fill before boosting. Kiefer's also lagging quite a lot.
I don't think he's waiting on storages because the storages are on a different module. It's entirely possible that he just forgot he put boost on there.
Well, he might also, because his supply lines are so long, he might not want to waste his boost. Right, his boosters, he's not using walkways, so I mean for the booster, for the side rails, side rail long, large reactor slash compartment module. It's taking a while it would take a while for his boosters to refuel.
Yet at the same time, he's so far away and moving so slowly, he could probably still boost several times.
I think the game isn't actually as slow as we think. It's just a lag. Intermission.
Looks like the lag is subsiding to some degree. I'm curious what the tractor beams on that missile barge are designed to do.
They're one of the, in my opinion, they're one of the few ways you can actually deal with OEM.
That's true.
Having tractor beams, right? Without tractor beams, you can't. It's almost impossible to stop OEM.
To stop OM, you need like, what, 8 tractor beams at least, one for each ship?
Well, no, because you can kill the swarmers if you disrupt the formation. So even like 2 is pretty useful against OM. I mean, the preferred way is just to use a super fast rammer, and Shark is swarmed to death.
You
Yeah,
know
so a
what?
lot of mobile spin forts aren't viable anymore. Well, they can't be pushed into the correct cost bracket anymore since the price change.
Peter actually needs to be careful here. He's not much faster than the Ring of Death, so if he doesn't go pretty much straight to the center, he could get caught outside of it.
Good point. That paint is pretty good, I'll have to say. Sputnik did a good job.
Indeed he did. Looks like Enoshade is running, which is not something you'd want to do against a slow ship who wants to get to the center.
Well, that he probably heard you say something about the ring, and if the ring is faster than Kiefer, then then that would be a winning move, running away from Kiefer.
Well, all Kiefer would have to do is get to the center and then just wait it out.
That's if he can. Well, yeah, his boosts are refueled. Okay.
Looks like he is actually slightly slower than the Ring of Death. Not by much.
He'll make it. So now Enoshade is flying across Kiefer's rail zone.
Looks like he's trying to bait him into turning.
It's actually pretty smart.
Yeah.
Kiefer's build also only has one flak mounted on each side. Oh no, the spin, he's boosting and spinning. Tractor beaming. Nope, not locking on. Oh,
It's at range.
firing.
Oh, Kiefer could potentially use tractor beams on push,
Yep,
or
one
he
shot
just
it.
likes the control room. That
One
works
shot.
too. Right. Kiefer wins.
Kiefer wins. Good game.
Looks like Saris has not been updating the bracket, so we have to remember who won. Next, it is Dam Killer against Nord, I believe.
I think Enoshade could have survived at least one more railfan if he just used he used a lot of 1x1 armor. If he had a 2x1 armor and bricked it up, he might have survived the second railfan.
Even then, though, it only would have taken one more volley.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, so in between the reload, he could have turned his ship and presented, fresh armor. But that's too many what ifs. He messed up. Kiefer won. Good game, Kiefer.
Alright, so Nord is using his new 6 tractor beam railfan, and looks like Dragon's Toy is just using his same old missile barge. Unless it's a different one.
Yes, that looks like his ship of the day winner. So Nord's build is a almost all forwards configuration. There's only 2 engine blocks with retro thrust. This is so we can get in range of a missile kiter, and most missile kiters, and quickly squished him with his track. 3,145 tons, 2,500 tons on Dam Killer side. He said, "Oh no, this guy is too funny."
Nord might struggle a bit with the approach, though. He has to worry about the mines and the fact that he can't attack head-on. Even though tractor beams are really good at turning opponents, they can also they can also mess you up a little too.
That's true. I mean, the biggest thing Nord has to worry about, in my opinion, is taking side hits on his armor. It's only too thick in some places. and his rear armor is only 1 thick in most places. So if he turns himself badly with his tractor beams, but as Nord, is he gonna mess up with his micro? That's pretty unlikely when he's playing seriously.
I think that Damn Killer forgot auto fire. Yep.
Damn Killer switched over. Sometimes you pre-auto fire your missile cells, and this buys you because the crew has to take time to walk into the missile factory. So if you pre-fire a wave or two, it's actually better than getting a maximum alpha strike for a sustained operation at least. Let me zoom in. That should be nice, such a damn killer. He's using a variant of Vilda's module.
Which still looks almost the same as every other missile module, to be fair.
So there are differences. It looks the same, I guess. But so for example, my variant is slightly more crew efficient than One Eyes, for example, right? But it's more weakly protected from the side, all right.
Ooh.
One Eyes is more crew efficient, is less crew efficient, but it's much better in terms of side protection.
Nord has had the brilliant idea of simply staying where he is because the Ring of Death is going to force Damn Killer out of his minefield.
Yep. This is why almost all the mine lane ships in higher tier play rush for mid, right? If you can get to mid first and start dropping mines there, you got yourself an advantage, you know.
Though to be fair, if he rushed mid, Nord is considerably faster, so he might not be able to make it in time.
Yeah, you would
But
probably
certainly
be-
he could have put the mines in at least a better spot than they are now.
Yep.
Saris, can you pull up some Jeopardy music for us?
Jaws music. The shark is circling in.
Really just any kind of elevator music. Looks like Damn Killer is finally given up on his minefield, but he's still not going for Nord, which is interesting. Not sure what he's going for.
So, if you stay near a minefield, it can still be very dangerous for the orbiter pilot. But Nord isn't running a pure orbiter. It's got a lot more agility than a build with no retro thrust. We're not pressuring him into going faster. He doesn't have to listen to us. Man, that paint from Nord.
Looks like it was almost designed to copy Vilda's, but with a twist. Alright, so they are finally within range of each other.
So
Tractor beams are firing.
Trying to push him. He's gonna go for try to snipe him on a large reactor.
He's probably pulling on the back there to keep him facing the wrong way.
Faster. And this looks like a one-shot kill.
Looks like it. Though he does have a second control room in the front. So
Doesn't matter if there's no power.
it won't matter if there's no power, but it's not an instant KO.
True.
Just delaying the inevitable. And he's fleeing.
safest play. If it has no power, he can't do anything. He can't. His missiles will run out of batteries, and then he'll just be a dead ship dying in rod. That's usually the safest way to play.
It's the safest way, but
Least exciting for us.
not
I mean,
it's not the fastest. Excellent,
also that
excellent
huge
maneuvering
swarm.
though, my lord.
Like getting away from those missiles is saves yourself a lot of damage. Saves yourself money on the paintwork.
The day that paint inevitably costs credits is going to be a sad day.
I was joking about that. I don't think we'll actually do that.
Maybe. All right, next up, we have I can't
Sen
find it.
versus the
Luke
oh no,
versus Rick.
versus Knight.
Yeah, Luke is pretty good at paintings. It might turn the tide there.
As long as you don't bring rails.
Also, the darker you set the palette, the more effective it is.
Darkery.
Well, I guess it's not darker as much as heightened contrast. You know, that little slider.
Ah,
That always has to be all the way down. It just looks better that way. Looks like... Oh, nope. So Rick is using a missile barge. I predict Luke will either use their multi-purpose ship
yeah, he'll
or
use a wall trap
or
type,
no.
which
That
is a
works.
natural counter to a missile barge, in my opinion. On the
Has
other hand, he does have fast iron barges that also beat up missile barges.
yeah, Luke made a pretty interesting multi-purpose ship. It can
Ooh,
kite, it can orbit, it can do all sorts of fun stuff.
Uh,
Looks like
they're doing
knowing,
switch picking.
yeah,
This started the timer though, so they're running out of time.
ooh,
Wow,
that hurt.
that's so. Ooh.
Right, At the very last second, Rick switched ships and is now using.
Is beam.
Yeah. If it'll be hard to ram one of the traps because they have a lot of strafe, but if he does, it's basically dead, and he has enough thrust to evade the other one most likely.
So Rick has a very poor thrust, I think, for an orbiter. It would be easier if he was running something like Nord's HT or even the more standard Cloud.
Certainly, he's slow for an orbiter, but that he's still a lot faster than most other ships.
Yeah, he's still an orbiter. All right, Luke is boosting in.
You can't discount 14 engine modules, even if he has a lot of armor.
I mean, you're not even like let me just take a look. Your engine blocks could be using. You could spend a lot more on large thrusters. My thrust is rich, not poor.
Looks like Luke is staying as a wall for now. That's interesting. But I guess it makes sense.
Don't question the pilot until he blows up.
I like that. I want that on a plaque.
Due to Rick's very heavy armor mass. He's relatively weak thrust. I think he's having a hard time circling in, especially because Luke can boost.
Yeah, he spent too much effort on high response time. It's hurting his actual turning ability. Is fleeing.
Most high response standard thruster builds, they use more engine blocks than 14. Yeah, it's only 14.
What do you mean it's overpowered? No one's even traded blows yet.
Shot each other.
With the exception of any exploit related to nukes, you can't call it overpowered until you at least get hit.
Yeah, Luke got scraped by a 9 beam.
Oh, that makes the difference then.
His point defenses lost 300 hit points each. No.
Alright, Luke is trying to get around to the side. Or he's just fleeing. If he pilots correctly, Luke has a decent shot at simply out-turning Rick. It'll be hard to do, though.
Thing is, though, he's not doing damage. His win condition is to hit Rick in the sides, basically, or the rear. Well, not the rear because Rick is actually faster in a straight line. If boost is not considered. Okay, so he's going for a pivot. This is pretty dangerous.
And he missed.
I mean, he could have just been trying to zoom by, and we're predicting a pivot, and we're just totally wrong. It's possible, but the kill speed is very much in favor of Rick.
Again,
Like
because
that
Rick is...
will will milk Luke's face if they're close together and fighting, right? Yes, he's definitely favored because the turning radius is huge for Rick.
Luke is just sitting there. Now he's moving. And
So
again,
one
he's
polar
not
bear
trying to
told me to
engage.
select my replay. Did you save your replays?
Do I save my replays?
Yeah.
Not very often. Only if something crazy happens. How about you?
I'm looking at my replay files right now.
Is 100% what a commentator should be doing right now.
I'm talking to the AFK commentator. The polar bear.
Alright, looks like Luke is finally starting to engage, though I could be wrong. It's hard to tell.
So the advantage of a almost purely shielded design is that you can regenerate as long as you don't lose parts.
And that's the big
That's very
problem
important.
is, even though it's very heavily shielded from the front, the sides don't have any shielding, and they are slowly wearing out.
Also, that shielding melts so fast under all these ions. All right, so I got my.
Still avoiding each other, only 3 minutes left on the clock. If Luke doesn't engage soon, they'll lose simply to the 1% damage that they've lost.
Well, if rod shrinking is on, they don't actually die from.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. And even if they don't actually fight each other once the Ring of Death shrinks all the way,
Problem is that Luke is now
uh,
taking field damage.
Rick is going to be a lot more explosive when it comes to the Ring of Death just because of the number of prisms.
Yeah, his layout is he has to stay closer to the center of the Ring of Death.
Also, looks like his only control room is in blast radius of that large reactor, so he can't just wait it out either.
I mean, for an iron core design, it's some players call it a bomb core because your entire ship, the center of your ship, is a bomb. There's no point to having multiple control rooms because if you lose your weapon systems, your ship is dead anyways, right? It doesn't do anything anymore. You might as well put your control room wired up to a bomb, right?
I mean, admittedly, I do that too, but at the same time, in cases like this, it could be useful to have no weapons, but still a control room. Alright.
All
Finally,
right, looks like Luke
we
is
have
going for some
impact.
sort of pivot.
That was a pretty good pivot.
He needs to
Take much
ram
damage.
so that Rick can't turn on him. Well, in my
He
opinion, he
also,
needs.
the further he gets, the better he can focus fire.
True.
He's most of the way through the armor.
Yep, there are breaches
Oh,
in the side armor.
and he's going for the control room rather than the larger reactor.
Name a more iconic combination. Luke and Walls.
Nukes and broken physics.
True. Okay. I meant in players, but okay.
We didn't say that.
Hmm.
Right. Rick is starting to lose his thrust. Slowly but surely. And as predicted, he simply can't keep up
Yep,
because
his
his
turning
turning
circle
is pretty
is
slow.
too large. His turning radius is because of all this armor mass he has. It looks like he's managed to get a solid beam. Nope, no good.
I think he switched to direct control mode, if he wasn't already.
Oh right, he's one of the few orbiter pilots that doesn't actually use direct control.
Nerf fleet quickly, because that's gonna hurt.
So he's melting faster than Luke from the rod damage.
It's because he's further away from the center.
Yep.
Luke's gonna have trouble once he gets to the center, because he can just stay there and just kind of turn to face them.
Yep.
Interestingly, Luke is not turning to face Rick for the most part, which is allowing some damage on the side there.
I mean, if he's melting faster from rod, it's a valid strategy. As you said, any explosion in Rick's ship will cause the destruction of his entire ship. So rod RNG favors Luke.
It actually looks like Luke's ship.
Now he's changed.
Oh,
Oh,
reactors.
oh. Is he aiming for the large reactor or the control room?
He's actually overpowering the front now, because the armor is so damaged.
I don't know if that was a good choice.
It's like it
He
was.
got through the reactor.
Great piloting by Luke. Did a great job of keeping the beams off of him. Next up is OM versus Exicade. Good luck, Exicade.
Look, Hexacade. All right. Did OM check in?
Check. OM did indeed check in.
In the middle of a match is the legend. Okay, I see him. He's posting.
He might not be online though. Unless he's typing somewhere and I'm missing it. Exicade says that the perfect piloting related combination is me and armor.
You and Armor.
I want to argue, but he's right.
You are the most heavily armored ship we've seen so far.
Indeed.
Saris.
Is Exicade coming? He is online.
he asked for mercy from Ohm. Unfortunately, Ohm is a soulless monster. Doesn't understand. Oh, we question winning.
I don't know about that, but he's certainly more interested in winning than I don't know where I was going with that. Than
Equalizer is extremely skilled. He's in the same skill bracket as yeah. It's the same skill bracket as One Eye, I would say. And he's a top tier player, definitely.
and there's Exocade. That's what you get for emulating Windows. I'm pretty sure he's emulating Windows. So OM,
He's
as
starting with the
predicted,
missile barge. Small missile barge. It's part of his fleet. Of course.
might actually have trouble selecting all the ships in his fleet in time. Looks like he's thinking pretty hard about what he wants to pick.
So these are some boost flankers slash huggers. These are squibs with boost, I guess. Have you ever been subjected to a squib?
I don't think I have, no.
So these look like noob ships, but the way they're used is that they they have such impressive strafe. It's very hard to get stop them from being directly behind you. The first time that Vilda and I had our railfans killed by Ohm using a single ship with a ship with a single small laser. It was an impressive demonstration of skill from
OM may struggle a bit with Exocade's tractor beams, though.
True.
Depending on how he micros, he could eliminate 2 or even 3 of them.
So once they get behind you, they have an incredible amount of strafe thrust, and it becomes hard to peel. But with tractor beams, you don't have to turn your entire ship to peel a ship off your butt.
The only problem with the tractor beams is they don't turn very quickly, so it might take a bit to actually get one off.
Yep. And in fact, some of his engine blocks are just not armored from the rear. I mean, this was the natural evolution, right? After TBs got buffed, why not add TBs to your orbiter, right? Natural evolution.
And right there, Ohm is showing off his incredible maneuverability.
Yep, multiple ships attacking at the same time from multiple angles.
And the ship that Exocade was aiming for just did a quick 180 and boosted out of the way before he could do anything about it.
Yep, he's getting behind
He is using the tractor beams,
extremely well. Yeah, it's saving him
but the boost is actually kind of countering the tractor beams to some degree.
to some degree.
That's about
That's
to hurt.
Oh boy,
Looks like
shots are
he's
leaking.
going for the reactor though, not the prisms, which is interesting. Exocade should definitely turn off auto fire, so if one of the prisms gets hit, it won't instantly core him.
What XK should do is immediately aim for the slowest member of the team, which has already done a lot of damage to him. The missile barge, ram that, orbital ram that, drag it away from the rest of the pack, and then use his tractor beams to thwart off the rest of the swarm while while killing the missile barge. But his rear armor is already breached. I don't know if that will work.
And there's the point defense fighter trying to get in at close range.
Yep, Ohm was able to boost out because XK could not micro both the tractor beams and the orbital ramming at the same time. I would turn off the beam core right now before a shot leaks in, and
And the Ohm looks like he's targeting more. Oh,
that's it.
never mind. He is no longer targeting the reactors.
This is why you never bring a ship with only one layer of rear armor against Ohm. Never, ever, ever.
Technically, Exocade still has a chance. If he can keep the fighters off of him, he could wait it out, get the Ring of Death all the way to 0, and push all of Ohm's fighters outside of the Ring of Death really far.
That's about as likely as dragging in one of Ohm's fighters into his remaining beams, inside his remainder of his beam core, and having it face the same way as face in the direction that they can't shoot his large reactors.
Agreed.
It's pretty unlikely.
I'm just saying he has a chance. He shouldn't forfeit.
He still theoretically has a chance.
Yeah, normally you might be able to pull off a tactic like that, but it is going to be difficult to outpilot Ohm.
I mean, when I saw Lord's build, I'm like, yeah, I could take that. But when I see this, uh,
Looks like the point defense fighter isn't quite as agile as the other ones, which is
no,
unfortunate because point defense is by far the best for clinging fighters.
very lightweight.
And cheap. There goes a good chunk of Exocade's ship. And there goes the last control room. Good game.
That large reactor detonation did more damage to Ohm than his shooting attempts.
So next up we have Nord versus Salif, I think. No, One Eye versus KWH.
Unfortunately, because KWH events via free win, we haven't seen him pilot.
I'm a little curious as to what KWH is going to bring. I've only seen them use a singular missile barge in the past, but they might have developed something for the tournament specifically. And To no surprise, One Eye is using Cherry.
I mean, it's what he's been practicing. Not everyone can be Nord and pull out a new ship out of their butt.
It does look like it may be modified though. It's not.
Yeah, Cherry.
It's Cherry Z, not Cherry, and it's not quite the budget anymore.
It's not the Paradox.
So KWH is using what appears to be a different missile barge, but it's still pretty similar to his last one. He doesn't have a lot of thrust though, and not a lot of turning torque either. So he's going to have some serious trouble if if One Eye gets around him. I'm so used to OM being overpowered, I can't get it out of my head.
See. So he's got 6 engine blocks, which is reasonable amount for missile barges. Unfortunately, he doesn't have full retro thrust, and as you said, his turning is not is particularly interesting armor scheme. It looks very fragile though.
He also has a very low amount of rear armor. And what's there isn't held on by structure particularly well.
I mean, if you're not fighting Ohm, rear armor isn't that important.
It is if you're fighting an orbiter or a tractor beams or railguns or a swarm.
If you got enough turning thrust, you can keep your nose pointed at an orbiter until it rams you.
You were the one arguing against that earlier. Why'd you switch sides?
What do you mean arguing against that earlier?
Earlier you were saying how orbiters are great against missile barges.
Yes. So you can keep your nose pointed at them for what I was saying.
That's what I was saying. Alright, back to the fight. First mines have been deployed. One Eye does appear to be a
He's
little
really-
afraid of him.
One Eye's been traveling slowly around the minefield. He actually killed his speed once he reached center by turning around his ship.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't want to
Flow into
risk
the match.
plowing through the minefield. He's gonna wait it out. Also, a lot of those mines being deployed are blowing up on the armor structure because he's turning too fast.
Boost.
If KWH had his missiles ready, that'd be a pretty bad place for One Eye to be.
True, but then he couldn't be loaded with mines.
This is also true. If that was intentional, it was pretty smart.
So what I meant was that you can, even though when they ram you, they can force you to come to your side. It's very, very hard to get directly behind a missile barge unless it has like almost no thrust at all, almost no turning thrust at all. Like you can get to the side, but getting directly behind is yeah, they'd have to be like incompetent. I don't think I've ever been flanked by an orbiter before, directly behind. I've been hit on the sides, rammed on the sides, certainly.
Again, though, tractor beams, especially with how strong they are now, are going to be rather prevalent, and tractor beams are great at that sort of thing.
But I think it's a lost cause if you're facing if you get grabbed as a missile barge, because your sides cannot be more protected than a certain limit, right? Because they have to have tubes exposed for missiles to go through, and even those shafts can't be too long because the missiles would hit them if they are. I believe Piraeus had a build where his missiles couldn't even leave the launch tubes because they were just too long. So there's a very steep limit on how well you can protect your sides, and that means a tractor beam ship that turns you and has like a beam core or rail guns will destroy you if you get turned by a tractor beam.
And again, with how much stronger tractor beams are now, missile barges are even more at risk.
Yep.
Some of the thinner ones, you couldn't really tilt them because you just didn't get enough torque with the tractor beams. You didn't have enough surface area.
Yep.
But now I don't think that even matters.
Well, I think Nord's idea is correct with a tractor beam barge with his tractor beam railfan. He just piles on the speed right with his old forward layout, and he doesn't need retro thrust because he has tractor beams, right?
Right, so One Eye has rammed, and he is getting
I mean, on the
around
side.
the side.
Yep.
Looks like he's going to try to cut him in half rather than go straight for the reactor.
He's boosting to make sure that he can't get away. And he's aiming directly for the large reactor now.
Now he is, yeah.
Yep.
And that's going to be game.
Unless One Eye suddenly has mercy, no, it will be game.
Game. Orbiters are still strong.
I mean, right now there are two counters to orbiters. You either build an insane amount of strafe thrust and use preferably pair with mines, right? Because we can't say Rick is the best pilot. We can't say he had perfect piloting, and his design choices were also somewhat questionable. But you either have an insane amount of strafe, or you use tractor beams. Those are the two counters to orbiters. So against anything else, a well-piloted orbiter has a pretty good chance of destroying you.
Yep. Alright, so the next round is Nord versus Salif.
Salif.
Is the Z silent?
Do you think Salif will win?
I'm afraid not.
If it wasn't Nord, I think he would have a pretty good chance actually.
Agreed.
I'm interested to see if Nord had any other new ship other than no, it's the Mater.
So Nord is again using his 6 tractor beam railer.
Yep, it's a pseudo orbiter. It's got 8 engine blocks of pure forwards thrust and 2 engine blocks with retro thrust. It's almost an orbiter.
And Salif is using his prototype anti-orbiter.
4 tractor beam
it's a-
lock.
Yeah, it's a rail wall with 4 tractor beams and a lot of forward thrust.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty effective at getting to the side of a lot of orbiters, but considering Nord doesn't need to ram, that might not apply here very well.
If he had better side armor, well, I can't see anything until we load in and zoom in. I can zoom in. Yeah, if he had better side armor, I would actually think he has a good chance against Nord. Because mass short rails are a lot more efficient than long rails. So Nord's build is quadruple plus 95% rails. So he's doing 19.5k damage per. And his alpha strike is about 78,000 per alpha strike per rail fan.
Well, this will be interesting because
is
Salif's
using
tractor beams.
Yeah, he's using 14 plus, and his alpha strike is 168,000. So his damage output is tremendously better than Nord's. Unfortunately, his that might not matter because the side production is so bad in some places.
Not only that, but Nord outranges it by quite a bit.
Unfortunately,
If
Nord doesn't have any retro thrust, so he can't kite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it'll probably come down to tractor beam micro. Salif is using direct control, which means he's not going to be able to quickly. He's not going to be able to use the left tractor beams independently from the right.
Interesting.
Looks like Nord is doing the same, though he does need to pilot in direct control anyway, I guess. Alright, so first Railfan taking out a large chunk of Nord's armor.
Now he's exposing his butt to Nord. If Nord turns quickly, he doesn't even have to go through that thin armor.
Fortunately, Salif has the tractor beams on that side, so he can't turn quickly.
That was close. Just a bit closer, and it would record the reactor.
I think the
Now
reactor is too much health, but
Salus from fanning, which is pretty effective. It's delayed his fan. Salif isn't opening fire.
I think Nord realizes he's at a disadvantage right there, so he just decided to flee. Keep him off
Yep.
balance.
If I were Salus, I would have
Oh,
pressed turn. Oh, no.
I think Nord set the tractor beams to pull to expose the back. So now all
Yep.
he has to do is turn in time.
Salus needs to turn with the tractor beam turn. He actually has a shorter turning radius in this situation.
That fan could hurt right there.
Oh, Salif, fire! Imagine Nord loses.
That almost cored him. If
that
the
almost
rail, if they had been less spread out, that would have cored him for sure. Oh, I just realized Salif's paint is almost like an optical illusion.
It's good camo.
Not sure why that flak just auto-fired, but I guess that indicates he's doing some micro.
Yeah, direct control micro.
Or he just misclicked with direct control. Yeah. Neither of them can really get a good shot on the other because of the tractor beams.
So Nord has given up trying to get him in the butt. Or no. He misfired with his rails, I guess.
His only open shot was straight to him.
Yeah, he would have killed Salif if all the shots went into that reactor. Into that area.
It's strange how much Nord is stopping for such a
He has no
fast
retro
diff.
thrust. He has no retro thrust, so it can be dangerous.
Right, they are exchanging blows, but Nord is at the disadvantage here.
Yep. because
he's
his. Go on, you go first.
he has so much armor to go through, whereas Salif, especially with the higher damage output and the smaller surface area, will get through the shields much faster. Shields and armor. You know. Looks like Nord is fleeing for now.
I mean, he's facing Alpha Strike more than 2.5 times as. I mean, more than 215% stronger than his own.
But not as focused, which is pretty important. I mean, if Salif's fan were more focused, then the match would already be over.
Yep. I mean, yes, of course. That's if he had retro thrust, it would be over a long time ago. Oh,
Interesting
God, Nord.
maneuver there.
Oh God, Nord.
And
Yeah.
there goes one of the reactors. Excellent piloting by Nord.
Extremely good piloting by Nord.
So now he just has to survive this strike right here, and then he should win. Because that also crippled Salif's piloting. But Salif is still doing a great job of keeping Nord off of him, using those tractor beams to keep him facing the wrong way.
That's game.
But it's just delaying the inevitable. There goes the other reactor. Alright, so next we have Luke versus the Healing Doctor. I suspect the Healing Doctor is going to use a similar or the same ship, but Luke has so many different designs, there's no telling what they'll bring.
Any missile barge is tremendously disadvantaged. Linear missile barge with conventional missile barge is tremendously disadvantaged against Luke because of his good trap control. He's like it's like Cyrus in a way, right? Like you wouldn't bring a missile barge against Cyrus if he picks two 750K flankers. He'll just get around your sides and shoot you through the sides. You can't. Your heavy nose armor won't do anything.
There's the Healing Doctor.
So I would just not pick a missile barge against Luke unless he locks in. Unless Luke locks in. And then yes, you could pick a chicken. You could do a chicken, right? You could do what Rick did and do a switcheroo at the last minute.
Just a second, I wanted to pop in to mention that somebody is getting Discord notifications, which is a bit annoying. So it would be nice if people could turn on Do Not Disturb mode.
Okay.
Speaking of which, why are you getting so many notifications?
One of my friends is watching and commenting. Yeah.
Alright, so that doesn't look like quite
It's
the
a
same barge, but it's similar. And yeah, Luke is using traps.
Jeez.
And
So
it's-
we're actually a good defense against traps until Walt increased the range of everything, basically. So now they can actually just shoot from the outside of your minefield and still flank your missile barge and shoot at it.
But at the same time, all it's going to take is for one trap to get around the back,
Yep.
because this design has even less rear armor than the last
No
one
rear-
you used. Yeah, 0 is less than 1.
I'm saying mines used to be a good defense against traps, but they're not as good anymore because of the range increase. Minefields don't launch any further than they used to, but weapons shoot much further, so they can shoot you from safer distance.
Looks like Luke is sticking to a 1 ship for now. That's interesting.
Yep. And yes, electro bolters would just be wasted against pure armor layouts. Interesting. What is healing doing? And what is Luke doing?
Not sure what healing is doing. Oh, he actually doesn't have enough turning thrust to get out of there
Knows-
easily. Like, he's going full power to the right, but Luke is just flanking him anyway.
The massive buff to PDs, this might actually not get Luke killed. I've seen Luke die many times because of he turned too fast, and then Flax couldn't engage. With the massive buff to PDs, this might actually be okay.
Yeah, I doubt a lot of missiles are going to get through all the point defense on the back, especially.
Yep, and he's able to re-engage with his Flax.
That's a lot of missiles, though.
I mean, yes, it's a 30 missile, 24. Okay, 24 missile launcher build.
That's good reload, too.
The missile
Well,
facts are power.
as I say that, the missile facts are indeed running out of power. Right, Luke is going in for another Alpha Strike.
He's splitting now.
He split too late to do much.
Yeah, he's got caught on the ramming hooks. I mean, that's very strange to say about a missile barge, but that's effectively what they are. Nope. One flanker got around the corner, shooting at a large reactor.
But the healing doctor's doing
Spinning.
decent
Yeah,
with the piloting.
Oh, things are catching on fire. Luke's colliding with his own traps.
And the healing doctor has plenty of fire extinguishers.
Yep. I was worried about how close that missile fac is to the large reactor, but it looks like it'll be extinguished in time.
However, that side is very exposed at this point, and he can't turn
no.
fast enough to get off of the
Large reactor is taking damage.
runway.
You know, if Luke was armed with cannons, this would have been over like minutes ago.
Maybe not, because cannon shots are pretty slow.
True.
Alright, the
Although-
reactor's at half health.
And only clinged for multiple seconds. All right, that would have been multiple cannon salvos.
That's true.
Cannons would be worse in a duel where both sides are very agile.
I don't think Luke meant to do that.
Yeah.
And also, they're starting to take a little damage from the missiles there.
PDs are very power inefficient, and a lot of PDs are dried up and not haven't been able to read.
There's more hits on the reactor, and it blows up. That was pretty close.
And good game, Healing Doctor, for not dying immediately.
Alright, so next round we have Owen versus Slowking. I almost feel sorry for Slowking.
Almost.
Well, I mean, this is a tournament.
True. There's no mercy.
There's some mercy, just not a lot. Alright, so Slowking looks like he's
Look at the name of his ship.
that is a top tier name.
That is the best name. And Ohm has agreed to try to flank you. It is incredibly bold.
I've heard the best counter to OM is on the back of your ship on the paint, just spell out "Go away, OM."
That's true. He does have much better back protection. If you had a ramming hooks, I think you might actually be able to beat down. But you don't have ramming hooks. This is one of the situations where ramming hooks would be great, absolutely great.
Interesting how he put all of the tractor beams at the front. This almost looks hastily done because there are some
There's only one
useless quarters.
only one pair of shields in the center. You would never ever bring this against another orbiter. You would just die immediately. Yeah, it looks like a hasty conversion. You just strip the shields and exchange them for tractor beams.
Yeah.
You don't need 28 beams to blow up unarmored ships. You know what I mean? Like,
You need 28 beams to blow up unarmored ships quickly.
yeah.
And despite the name, OM is starting to flank Slowking. Sorry, Rick.
Slowking Rick.
I don't know who that Slowking guy is, sorry.
So his ship is a lot more responsive and faster than Rick's. He's much less heavily armored, and he's got more thruster blocks. And he has a lot of large thrusters mixed in.
I wouldn't say a lot, but some.
Yeah, it's 14 versus 2. that's the thing. If you looked at Ohm's squib and you hid the name of who created it, you would think it was a newbie ship. And even his boss Aspids, right? If you hid the name, you'd say, "Hey, that ship's not very well designed." But no, it's really good. Just not in most people's hands. He's taking flank damage.
He's having trouble keeping Ohm off. Even with the buff to tractor beams, the amount of boost that Ohm has is almost countering them.
Yep. And you don't want to stay on. I think you actually want to be pushed off a little bit, because the large reactor can't actually keep all those boosters powered continuously. So you want to dive in, dive back out, dive in, dive back out.
He's doing a great job of that.
Yep. In a way, those tractor beams are actually helping Ohm.
How so?
He's also taking a lot of chip damage from the missile barge.
Yeah, he should probably try to go for the missile barge here soon.
Because it's the only ship without boost that's actually he can actually reliably ram.
It's the only ship he can catch.
Yep. Wow, Ohm. He's taking more damage from the rear.
Looks like Ohm is getting ready for another attack.
Looks
Oh,
like
but
they're clipping through each other. Oh no, it's just graphics.
yeah. The hitbox for thrusters is slightly smaller than the visual.
Ah, good to know.
Specifically for boost, the graphical part is 2 tiles, whereas the physical is only 1.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure that large reactors and down, they don't even have a hitbox. They're just there.
Hmm.
Oh, Ohm taking a bit of damage from the ion beam there. I don't know if that was a
Yeah.
courageous maneuver or a bad one.
Or a mistake. I'm wondering, is Ohm manually auto firing all the thruster blocks? Because I see he's hotkeyed his
In that case, he probably auto-fired it. I don't think that
because
he uses that
before
multi-use.
direction was implemented, he was the inventor of orbiters. He manually piloted his orbiters by why is Slowking not turning on his ion core? He could have cut that. It's too late now.
There goes the core.
He could have cut the missile ship in half.
Well, he still has some ions, so Ohm needs to be a little careful still. But if he can get that ship pretty much right there, it's game.
Oof.
Alright, there it goes. So the anti-flanker got flanked to death. Next round is One Eye versus Kiefer.
So I don't want to count out Kiefer early, but it looks like the next semifinals will be Nord versus Luke and Ohm versus One Eye.
But you never know.
Saris.
Kiefer says he'll be right here. That might mean he's working on a design at the last minute. So what are your thoughts on the tournament so far?
There's a surprisingly large amount of new builds that people are using instead of builds that they've been practicing with for the last weekend or so.
Does bring up an interesting point. The problem with preparing for a tournament is you want to build a new, better design, but you don't want to reveal that design to other people until the actual tournament, so you don't get a lot of practice with it.
That's why I like the team tournaments. You practice with your partner, and they would, it doesn't hurt you because you two would be on the same team.
Alright, so One Eye is again using Cherry.
It's smart. It's not like he needs some new. No, I think he's disadvantaged actually.
That is a 10 out of 10 modification for Kiefer there.
Wow, he actually has forward thrust and more forward thrust now.
You could
His
have
supply
said
line
that in a
kind of-
gentler way.
His supply lines look kind of bad though.
Well, supply lines are fair. The big thing is he outruns the Ring of Death now.
I mean, he could have saved himself 1, 2, 3, 4. Like he could just power his engines a lot better. But oh well, I can't. You're right. The important thing is he doesn't get killed by Rod anymore.
I wonder where he took the cost from.
He shaved off his flex.
Oh, you're right.
That's fine. I think the missile players have.
So One Eye immediately rams. Despite the
And
tractor
he's
beam,
not
looks like he's got a
by the
hold.
tractor beam. They don't seem to be powered or crewed correctly. The crew assignments don't seem to have been done correctly.
Yeah.
And One Eye is already cutting through the first rail.
There goes 1, 2. Cutting the ship in half.
He's cut off a chunk of the ship already.
There's half of the railguns down, or sorry, 5/8, whatever. There goes another railgun, and there's really not much Kiefer can do about this. There goes the control room.
Well done by One Eye. I think he would have been favored actually against One Eye with 4 tractor beams against an orbiter. Except he didn't do his crew assignments correctly. So his tractor beams were incapable of staying on.
Yeah. Plus, he also, even with the improvements, has a mediocre amount of thrust.
Well,
So-
when you have tractor beams, the purpose of the tractor beams is to keep the opponent from clinging to you, so that you can actually maneuver and focus fire with your rails. You don't need that much thrust if you have enough tractor power.
But you need enough to turn, because
with so little thrust, but it could have been, but we'll never know because it was only one tractor beam was able to stay on for any amount of power for any amount of time.
All right, so this round is Nord versus Luke. This is the semifinals, by the way.
Yep. Yes. Nord brings out his next level ships.
What even
So
is
this is
that?
what I was afraid of. I mentioned this in balance. He's using a sumo. It's basically an armor egg with tractor beams, an egg of armor wrapped around tractor beams, and a huge amount of thrust. So you would just, I'm pretty sure what he wants to do is grab Luke, shove him out of the rod so fast that Luke cannot get back in time.
That almost looks illegal if those are boost thrusters, but it's hard to tell.
I don't think those are boost thrusters. Or maybe the scale is off, and those are boost thrusters. We'll have to see when we load in. He switched to Mater.
Right, so we've already seen Nord's ship. Luke's ship is just a classic, rather compact ion barge.
It's lengthwise, but in order to achieve this compactness, I had to sacrifice. It's wider than beam barges of this layout. A laser butterfly. So I don't think non-TB ions are even non-orbiting non-TB ions are actually even viable in this meta.
Not right now, no. Speed is everything. And at this point, if you put a lot of thrust on an ion barge, it's going to be called an orbiter regardless.
Well, even 10 engine blocks of symmetrical thrust isn't quite an orbiter. And this is only 4. Yeah, Luke doesn't use a lot of crude assignment. So in order to get your ions to, you can't actually get your ions to fire 100% continuously, and the efficiency isn't actually that good. So in order to avoid too much wastage, he uses storages and a warm up mode. So you only leave half your beams on auto fire.
As annoying as it is, crew assignments really do make the difference. You can cut off almost half of your crew in some situations.
Yep.
Right, they're
engaging.
finally are in range of each other.
And Nord has managed to turn Luke already. And now he's swinging around using tractor beam pull to pull himself and line up with Luke's reactor.
Yeah, I'm afraid Luke doesn't have... I don't think
And
Luke has much of a chance.
an armored core.
There
There we
goes
go.
the core.
The beam core is down.
Too little thrust. Simply couldn't overpower the tractor beams. Alright, and Nord will advance to the final round.
Nord is almost an orbiter too. Like, so, it's pretty hard to, like, he's able to slingshot around you.
So next round we have Oem and One Eye.
That should
That's
be
going to be
interesting.
an interesting match.
Yep.
So the question is, has One Eye developed any sort of counter to Oem's swarm?
The Zerg. The Zerg. The hive mind. And that looks like a reasonable counter. I'm a little worried how, well, we'll have to load in and see.
It looks like the back and sides are pretty exposed.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's only, it's too thin, the side plating.
Oh. And he switched to a cherry. Oh, this is a different one. I wonder what the difference is.
If I had to modify an orbiter to fight Ohm, the first thing I would do is add a ramming scoop.
And he... One Eye really doesn't like scoops, but he might have made the front a little more flat to help.
Ramming scoops do get you killed against, can get you killed against order orbiters, or even just mines. All right, I really can't tell the difference between without the blueprints in front of me, I can't tell the difference. Ah,
One Eye is going to have a little trouble catching Oem.
yep.
Even with how fast Cherry is, Oem is just that much faster. So,
As long as he has,
if anything,
I think that was a fake out. It forced an early boost, so now he's going for the missile barge. And that
so
looks
that
like
was really smart.
collision. Nope, not quite.
Just kind of bounced off there.
Right
However,
from
it's
Ohm.
spinning.
Ah, he blocked himself. That's a big danger. That's dangerous.
I think when I tried to go for both ships there,
Ohm's getting good shots into One Eye's back. One Eye is boosting. It's not quite enough, fast enough to escape these mass boost craft.
he's giving up on chasing the missile barge. He realizes he needs to focus on the smaller guys, get him off first.
Man, that incredible strafe thrust.
Speaking of which,
Incredible strafe thrust from Ohm.
Ohm has broken through the back. One of the prisms is damaged.
2 of the prisms are heavily damaged.
So now One Eye has to worry about when he fires and when he doesn't.
Against, I would have made an anti-ohm modification. What do? Peel off half your front armor, slap it on your butt. Right? Like, that's the first modification I would make.
So not a lot of action right now. Looks like Ohm is regrouping.
Repositioning so that all his ships can attack One Eye at the same time. That way, One Eye can't safely fire his beam.
There's one of them getting around to the back.
Second one is almost in flank range. It's flanking now. And the third one is positioning.
Might not have been wise to try to turn the other way. That gave Ohm an opportunity to get where he wanted.
I mean, with this much boost, he would have gotten there.
We really should have Jeopardy music or something.
Jaws music, like a shark is closing in on you. I'm sorry, Saris.
I blame the lack of Jeopardy music.
This is just too good of a fight that we can't predict. Well, no, I think it's just too good of a fight in general. It's very exciting.
Well, it goes from a whole lot of action to not really any action pretty quickly.
So as you see, Ohm has managed to flank One Eye again. One Eye is forced to disengage his beam in case of death.
He's inches away from coring all of those prisms at once.
Yep. One Eye is boosting to adjust his momentum.
Looks like that missile barge is basically toast.
Nope. Still shooting. Weapon
It's-
systems.
It's still shooting, but One Eye can just flee, go somewhere else. Right. Ohm can't quite reach the prisms, but he's doing damage to the back now.
Yep.
He's almost going for the reactors.
Almost as good on the reactors. And he's still taking chip damage from the missiles as he's spinning around.
Probably move the fight somewhere else as soon as possible.
Oh, those heavy laser alphas. So when I slightly distracted by the PD ship.
At this point, Ohm just has him spinning.
Ohm, he can't stop spinning. If he stops spinning, Ohm's boost flankers will flank him and get his core.
But at the same time, the chip damage from that stationary fighter is going to kill him eventually. Or actually pretty quickly, considering how damaged the back is.
Yep, it's shooting directly at the prisms. So Ohm blocks himself. It looks like even Ohm can mess up once in a while. Even the hive mind can make mistakes.
Well, when you're piloting 4 ships that a person would have trouble piloting in the first place, Alright, OM wins. And we'll be moving on to the final round with Nord. Now, if anyone's ship has a chance against OM, I think it's Nord because not only does he have range and turning ability, but he has enough tractor beams to keep a lot of OM's ships unstable.
We're bringing something new.
So far, it seems like, of course, orbiters are one of the strong points, but again, it seems like a lot of,
Insanely
it
strong.
seems like
But that
there's
over
more counters to orbiters than orbiters themselves.
well, tractor beams, right?
Yeah.
Got buffed recently, and to be honest, Nord's Mater is basically an orbiter. It's almost an orbiter itself. It's got 10 engine blocks of forward thrust and only 2 engine blocks of retro thrust. If we took out the money invested into tractor beams and put it into thrust, it would be an orbiter, and it's almost an orbiter even with the tractor beams.
And to some degree, tractor beams are just thrust you can move around
True.
or apply to your opponent. So Ohm is bringing out different ships this time.
Yep. The boosters. Once the boost runs out, they're just targets for the railgun, and they're much bigger targets too. Interesting. He's going for rail kiters
Very interesting choice.
and flankers. So, this is my predictions. About a month ago, I was asked to list, in addition to listing the ship types, how powerful they were relative to each other. I also listed the player strengths of how powerful they were relative to each other, and I predicted Nord and OEM are the strongest players. And it looks like the tournament has indeed proved.
Congratulations. I am a little worried about OM's kiters though. Do they actually have enough retro thrust to outrun Nord?
They look like they come with boosters. So the thing is, though, rails have a pretty long reload time, and as soon as Nord fires, they dive back into range to chip at Nord, I guess. Also, Nord's armor is kind of thin, in a lot of places. It's only
It's
too
not
thick. It's
not
not
quite
eggshell.
thin enough to die to one railgun, but certainly risky.
Let me just take a look. These are twin railguns, by the way. Yeah, they're not one railgun. They're twinned.
Also have a very exposed control room, although I
The whole
suppose
ship is exposed. It has no shield, no armor, and the rails are mounted right next to each other for maximizing focus fire. So if one lost, the loader explosiveness will destroy the loader of the other railgun, and it will be you'll just have lost both rails. So if your ship is going to be highly explosive, you might as well make it more compact, right?
kind of goes back to what you were saying about OM's designs almost looking like they were designed by a new player doing.
But if you're very skilled, you don't care.
I mean, they don't have shielding, they don't have armor, they don't even have a particularly high sustainable speed.
Yep.
So does that mean that noobs are actually secretly geniuses at the game, and you get worse as you progress?
No, because noobs can't actually control as well as Ohm. If they could, then yes.
I'm showing off some of his speed there.
So it looks like both players are jockeying for a position. And it'll probably be a minute or two of just jockeying at least. This is
And or
Nord
waiting
flankers.
for the...
Smart, because the flankers with their boost can escape from.
And
Ohm is
Ohm's ships are running into each other.
colliding. They're colliding on each other. It doesn't matter though, because Lord had 2 sets of tractor beams hotkeyed to both of them. He's taking damage from the rail kiter. He's firing at it. The rail kiter dodges. Good boost though. That was pretty impressive, especially with bullet speed buff. Yeah.
He's gonna have to rely on that though, because he does not outrange Nord.
Well, he can chip at the armor safely, right? Because his guns are not encased in the armor at all, while Nord's are. So he can chip away at the frontal armor, uh, theoretically safely. Theoretically safely.
Wow, that shot from a long ways off.
Yep.
I predict Nord is going to start trying to auto-fire at this point to prevent missing.
It's very hard to predict when you're also trying to micro against the flankers.
Well, at this point, he just has the tractor beam set to aim towards the flankers, so he doesn't have to worry as much about them.
True. Now he can just focus on flying. The thing is, though, he's turned weapons control off in order to get the tractor beams to focus on the targets. So his railguns cannot be manually controlled either. You know what I mean?
You can actually set up direct control to allow you to pilot the ship's thrusters, but not the weapon system.
Yeah, man, he turned weapons control off, so he can't. So his railguns have to be RTS fire hold fired instead of his railguns have to be hold fired instead of auto fired. What am I saying? Instead of him manually predicting where the rail kiter will dodge and shooting that way.
Well, what he could do is aim to where he thinks the rail kiter is about to be, and then simply hit his hotkey for railguns and the hotkey for autofire.
Fire. That's pretty unlikely, I think, because of the low rate of fire of railguns is just very punishing. You know what I mean?
I would agree, but he's barely getting any valid shots in the first place, so it'd be worth it to try.
And now he's trying.
Yeah. Looks like Ohm is retreating for now. He has to be careful because he is at a definite disadvantage once the Ring of Death closes.
Yep.
If it comes down to just Ring of Death damage, OM has 5, or I guess 4 at this point, control rooms rather than Nord's 1. One of the flankers is doing a surprising amount of damage to the back there, overpowering the tractor beams.
Boost, very powerful. So his flankers were looking to take free shots if Nord turned to fight to shoot his railguns at the flankers. And one of the flankers is out of boost.
That was
If
a
Nord,
nice move by Nord.
he got one.
Great piloting. He locked
Yeah,
onto it with all 6 tractor beams set to pull, and no amount of boost can counter that.
no amount of boost, but no amount of boost on a 300k shot.
And I think Ohm is playing a little too risky now. Well, plus it's now 6 tractor beams against 1 ship.
Yep. Although that turning speed is a big problem. It doesn't matter though. He eats the railgun shots to the face.
And the large reactor explosion actually damaged some of Nord's front armor.
I don't think it's enough to make a difference though.
In this case, no, but large reactor throwers still do a ton of damage even if they're not viable.
Mm.
There it goes. One of the rail kites.
Looks like Ohm is not going to try to drag it out with his rail kiting.
But he's going to let Nord finish it properly rather than pulling a polar.
Good game.
All right.
All right.
Congratulations. Nord
All
wins the tournament.
tractor beam railer wins the tournament.
And I would like to point out that tractor beam railer is kind of a counter to orbiters, so
I mean, a 4 tractor beam railer. I was able to squish a bunch of orbiters yesterday with a 4 tractor beam railer. So I think his 6 tractor beam rail ship should do it even better.
yeah.
I wouldn't say they're dead because almost all the players used orbiters that we've seen. Like half the players used orbiters, and they got pretty far in the tournament. Yeah, they're not unkillable.
They're certainly still very strong, but the fact that someone has developed at least a partial counter so quickly after the patch shows that they're probably falling out of the meta pretty soon. Alright, so it looks like we're going to be
Doing a
doing
mirror match.
some...
We're gonna
Nord
be
has officially won, but looks like they're doing a rematch just for the fun of it.
nice. Good luck.
Nord is at an advantage here, though, because OM has never seen this ship before. Or never used it, I should say.
I also think Nord is slightly more skilled in terms of commanding a single ship.
So when it comes to piloting, OM is definitely at a disadvantage.
All right, our 2 contestants are advancing towards each other. So this build that Ohm had only has 1 layer of rear armor. If he brought this against Ohm, he might have lost actually. Yeah, it's one thick in many places.
At the same time, though, if I'm not mistaken, it's a little faster,
Yes.
a little more torque. Explosives have been exchanged.
So it looks like Nord is getting the flank on Ohm. Ohm isn't able to outturn him. Yep, those tractors. And now he's got a back shot in. There goes half his weapons.
Tractor beams are officially strong again.
Tractor bees might be OP.
Yep. They'll probably get nerfed here soon. And that almost killed the last two rails. Came very close to it. That did kill the last two rails. There goes Owen. Alright. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm assuming the stream is closing either soon or already did. And congratulations to Nord for winning.
All right. Thank you, Cyrus, for hosting. Thank you, Redstone, for filling in the awkward gaps.
Thank you
And
for
thank you,
completely...
view.
Sorry, go.
Okay. Talk first. Go ahead.
No, you. Go ahead.
I'm going to say thank you, viewers, for playing Cosmoteer, hopefully, and watching.
Thank you also for filling in my gaps, because I'm obviously not cut out for this.
I think you did better than me. All right.
Feeling is mutual.
Later, guys.
Alright, adios everyone.